Mario Summers again, but it seems like a lot of it goes back to economics. But today, especially in politics, when you talk to a lot of conservative voters, they say that they support their candidates for economic reasons, whether it's the president or our state legislature, what have you. So my question is, how do we raise economic awareness or the relation to history and its economic awareness in white communities? How do we, does that make sense? How do we, how do we raise white awareness of the economic relation to history and the systems and the housing, the
The
education?
cumulative impact of racism on the black community. How do we make the entire community be aware of that as we redevelop the tribe and all that? Right? So, start with Winnie. Yes, ma'am.
Pay attention to what the banks are doing and the investment companies, and they aren't coming into anybody's community most of the time and asking, what do you mean? It's what we want to build and how we want to invest our money so that we can make more money. And so I think that's one of the things we want.
So I know we've sort of touched on this already, but I think that there is this connection between economics and the legacy of slavery is direct, and it's there is sufficient data to pay attention to it, and it becomes an argument that can be made. If in fact you're wanting to make that, you and I can talk later about the kind of data that's available to do that, but. This is where it starts. We as Askia said, there were 500 people that came around this issue a couple months ago. There are 160 people here today. This is where it starts. And so I don't know how many of you are going to walk away today saying, gee, I learned something. But I hope at least there are some.
Thank you. Ms. Reese?
There is a definite connection between the legacy of slavery and economics. This country was built on the backs of African slaves. The whole system, the whole capitalist system in this country, the wealth of this country was from the hundreds of years of free labor that this country had. So when we look at that, and the same thing happens in St. Petersburg. So there is definitely a connection, Mario, between economics and the legacy of racism. And I want to make another point towards gentrification. I was recently a part of a symposium for the Woodson Museum this past Saturday. And one of the architects from San Francisco said to me in a private conversation, we're always looking at the areas that were redlined. We need to look at the areas that have not been redlined. And I said, help me with that. He said, look at those and see if there's been any change in the demographics in the past 30, 40, 50 years. And I sit on the public, on the Planning and Preservation Commission, and I'm not meaning to, I'm just picking out Allendale because they're always in front of us, wonderful community. But when we look at communities like Allendale and others, there have been no major change in the demographics over the past 30, 40, 50 years. The communities that have been redlined are the ones where the demographics are constantly changing, and that's due to gentrification.
Thank you, Ms. Reese.
Let me see if I can try to answer your question from a different perspective. First of all, we must accept the fact that slavery was not just dehumanization of millions and millions and millions of people. It was a business model. It was a business model, and that business model persisted globally for a long, long time. Secondly, what do we do about it? Some of you are probably active in FAST, Faith and Action for Strength Together. Some of you, I know because I see your faces, were active with KUCA, Congregations United for Community Action. So what do we do about it? You had congregations and families and households that would get together and share with each other, household to household, congregation to congregation, and carry on these kinds of discussions and dialogues. And part of what we did, FAST did it and KUCA did it, was bring those banks in and put them on the hot seat and confront them about redlining or the discriminatory lending practices, etc. And so those are also some of the kinds of practical and tactical things that can and must continue to be done.
Thank you, Mama Kiel. I think we have time for about 3 questions, so I'm going to look on this side. Reverend Pritchett, you can come back to you.
Thank you, Jason Pritchard. Ollie's Outlet on 9th Avenue North, Chick-fil-A on 4th Street, Green Bench Magazine, and the ever-expanding Green Bench Brewery are a few of the businesses in this community that continue to use the Green Bench symbol. My question is this a dog whistle in your opinion? Is this subtle? Is this a misunderstanding? Should we be sympathetic to people who continue to use this symbol that has been hurtful to many of our family?
Thank you, Reverend Pritchard. Which panelist would like to start on that? Ms. Reese?
I'd like to thank Alan, who's in the audience today, and I think he's sort of spearheaded this whole conversation we're having today when asked about the green benches on a particular website. Sympathetic? No. Understanding? No. Accepting? No. It is very important for us, if we're going to be respectful and live in a community that honors and values everyone and all of history, that we understand the history of the green benches. Many efforts are being made to romanticize the green benches, and it's very romantic for some people. But I was born and raised here. I walked down Central Avenue and could not sit on those green benches. So to romanticize it and lift it up in one way, without understanding or even voicing the history and the perspective of other people who were adversely affected, it's not romantic to us, it's humiliating to us. It reminds us of a period, an era, Jim Crow and segregation. That is a part of our history. But why do you lift it up and romanticize it? So I think the green benches are very much like, you may not like this, but they're like the Confederate statues that are all across this country, romanticizing a period in our history that was not romantic for many Americans.
So I will admit that I like and drink beer. I do think that, and when I am at a place and they say they have Green Bench Brewery, I say, do you know the history behind that? Every place I go that offers that. I do think this is an opportunity, an economic opportunity, for us to use our wallets to influence change. Don't, and do it vocally, and do it with a noisy approach. So don't buy those products and tell people about it. And don't buy those products and make sure everybody knows why. So I do think there's a connection here, and I think that will get the message across, because that's the business these folks are about.
Tim, what response do you normally get when you ask the question?
The response is, really? I didn't know that at all.
Ms. Winnie?
Again, I have to apologize for my hearing. So much I'm missing here today. But,
The question was about the green benches and how they're being romanticized, how some folks don't understand the history of those benches in St. Louis.
yeah, I remember when we first came here in 1970, that there were always pictures in the newspaper about the green benches being filled with retirees and so on, and they were all white. And nobody at that point in time commented about that. And so certainly this means that some things have changed here, and that's why I believe in what Tim mentioned as a noisy approach. I very much believe in noisy approaches. And marching, getting out and marching, showing the strength of citizen strength in the cities and at City Hall. So few people seem to, as they did in their early days when I came here, go to City Hall and make their voices and speak. Go to City Hall and speak.
Thank you. Mom?
In 1972, I believe it was, we got Reverend Dr. A. Leon Lowry elected to the Hillsborough County School Board, because we went to the school board meeting in numbers and said, we're being taxed without representation, stop the meeting. And so we stopped the meeting. And within a year or two, we got Dr. Lowry elected. They filed for single member districting vote elections here in St. Petersburg, so I think it was 1985 before you finally had an African American to serve on the Pinellas County School Board. What's my point? I believe in self-determination. I believe in revolutionary action rather than reactionary action. Give you a good example. I had I'm chair of the board, collective empowerment group of the Tampa Bay area. Some of the most prominent pastors, congregations, and business people in this area, and we're looking to see how we can pool our assets and resources and do things for ourselves. Remember, 22nd Street and 16th Street and 18th Avenue, Tangerine were prosperous even when you had green benches on Central Avenue. Because we didn't care about them. I mean, yes, if you were downtown, you got hot and you wanted to sit down, you couldn't sit. But we were prospering in those neighborhoods and in those areas in spite of those green benches.
Thank you, Mama Quill. Mr. Clement, you've been waiting for a while.
David Clement. I would like to raise the R word, reparations. I haven't heard anyone say that today. Given the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws in the ancient past, but the official policies that Mr. Dutton talked about in his opening, what do you support the movement for reparations, and do you think our country will ever move to do anything to repair the damage of the past 300 or 400 years?
We'll start with Imam Akil.
There have been, first of all, we need to continue to have this conversation and discussion. I'm glad it's taking place before Congress. Our country, I know at least since the Civil War, into the Civil War, has made attempts to address this issue. 40 acres and a mule, remember, when the Civil War ended and during Reconstruction, they offered 40 acres and a mule to freed slaves. After post-Reconstruction, they backed away from that and did not deliver on that. So there have been numerous attempts over the years to address this issue. With Native Americans, we have arrangements that we worked out. Now, right here in the state of Florida, part of the funding that they received through gambling was intended to provide reparations to Native Americans as a result of what happened to them during the establishment of the country and the westward hold movement, the expansion of our country from the East Coast to the West Coast. So this is not brand new discussion. We just need to make sure that we have, in fact, an intelligent discussion, understand the root cause of what we're talking about, how something like that might be implemented in a way that makes sense, but it's not new.
Thank you, Imam Akil. Ms. Reese?
Reparations should be discussed. We should have continued discussions about it. How to best make that happen is worthy of deep discussion. But I think the second part of your question was, I'm not sure, but is America ready? Will America ever be ready? Will it ever? I'm not sure. And until it even acknowledges the history, the atrocities of slavery, America has never even acknowledged the atrocities of slavery. Until those things are acknowledged, I'm not saying ask for forgiveness, acknowledging the true history of African people in this country, then no, I don't think that America will be ready for reparations because they're not willing to even acknowledge the history.
Mr. Dutton?
So the first attempt at reparations that occurred was actually around the issue of slavery was actually Lincoln offered the slave owners reparations. Ironic. So I think that there's an effort right now in Congress to create a committee. I think that's exactly the right answer. We have a history of reparations in a whole bunch of other ways. You know, we did this after the Japanese internment camps. We've done reparations in several other instances. To one in Mohammed's point, the issue it has to do with the dialogue. Just like in South Africa, was a process of open dialogue that started revealing the kinds of issues that then might generate how do you do reparations. So.
Finally, Ms. Foster.
Well, I noticed that Cory Booker, in his race for the presidency, says no way reparations. There's no clear way to sort it out. Too many generations and just the opportunity. It begins to sound to me like one of the struggles that could go on around some of Donald Trump's issues. Eternal dialogue that doesn't go anywhere.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Final question is going to be to the gentleman who's been waving his hand in the back of the fabulous hair. I'm jealous.
When I first showed up one of these meetings, the mayor from New Orleans said that, and I sort of chewed him out a little bit. So, I guess it's Alex who started this, right? I'm glad this all happened, but I want to finish this off with a thought, because I always talk to folks on the South Side. As soon as black folks could sit in green benches, the green benches were removed. As soon as black folks could drink the white water fountain were removed.
Your
Yes.
question.
My question is there an opportunity to bring back blue benches as an opportunity to have the benches and have a new meaning to them? That's my question.
Anyone want to comment on blue benches, or I can get another question?
Well, first of all, if you recall, they repainted the green benches, and then one pad they were pastel, but you know, if benches turn you on, more power to you. We frankly have better fish in the fire. I'll put a bench in my yard if I'm retired.
At that time in history, St. Pete was known as the place where you go when you retire. It was like the old folk city, and so basically that's what you saw sitting on the benches. Once again, on the symposium, in the symposium, there was a discussion about a moving piece of art, which I thought was wonderful, with a green bench and another bench in front. And this art moved throughout the city. But the purpose of the art was to initiate conversation about the history of the green benches. So, and I'm sorry, Alex, I called you Alan earlier. Alex, I don't think we need the benches, but we do need conversations around the history of the benches so people better understand the symbols that they're using. And it's proliferating, as Robert Pritchett said. It's gone to Chick-fil-A having a green bench and other places having a green bench. We need to have conversations around it. So if people persist in having a green bench, at least they can have a discussion or something else to tell people the history.
Mr. Dutton?
So, that's a classic case of communication. I looked up at Ken and nodded. He thought I meant in order to talk. I actually didn't.
Okay.
But I agree with him.
All right. Ms. Winnie, any closing comments on this issue?
No, I've said enough.
All right. Well, Tigers, this has been a great conversation, one that needs to continue. Please give our panel a hand.
If the panel could please stay up here so we can have some photos afterwards, we'd be most appreciative. The conversation will continue, and we will make sure that we keep this topic at the forefront of our community conversations that occur monthly. In July and August, we're going to turn our focus to the city council races. So please watch your emails, Facebook for Suncoast Tiger Bay. And our winner of Fang and Claw today is Mr. Pritchard with his question about green benches. Once again, thank you for coming to Tiger Bay. Thank you for participating. And we welcome you back in the months to come.